Hey, Bridgeview Brigade. Got Cindy Lynn here.
And Tony.
And we are coming to you today with a new video. Sorry we missed last week. We've been busy trying to prep for our final inspection with our pole barn. And our RV living is slowly coming to an end.
Drawing to an end.
Yeah, so a few things came to mind. We are seeing a lot of people that are wanting or in the process of doing the same thing that we are doing, either living in their RV while they're building their dream home or barndominium, pole barn, small tiny home, whatever the case may be, or they're just living on their land in the RV. So we have been there and done that, so we wanted to bring you about 5
ideas
items?
And
yeah,
tips and just little tips and tricks.
5 ideas or 5 things that you might
keep in mind,
need to know. So number 1 is you might want to prep and prepare your land beforehand. I know that's not always feasible or possible if you need to move in a hurry, especially with the COVID stuff that's been going on. A lot of people are buying land in a hurry, but there's some things that you need to know if you're going to have your RV on your land. So number 1 would be you definitely need to have some kind of permanent sewer system in place, because most county regulations don't just allow you to dump.
Especially you can't dump on the ground, and in our county I even tried to put just a tank in the ground to dump into the tank, and we would have the honeypot truck come out and pump it, and the county said no. So
we probably could have fought it, but we were just at the point where, you know, we didn't have to have it at that time. It was,
yeah, you don't want to start off on the wrong foot with your county anyway. So but yeah, you want a place to be able to dump your tanks. That's a definite must.
So if you can do that ahead of time,
you definitely want you definitely want electric and water. Get your living quarters ironed out, because it just makes it that much easier. And get a nice bed to put your camper on, whether it be a concrete slab or if it's going to be rock. If you're going to put a shed future, go up and pour the pad for your shed and then park it on it, because you don't want to be walking out in the mud. You don't want to be dragging in dirt. It's going to be dirty enough with construction. Yes,
you definitely want to have a nice foundation for your RV or trailer. Now, keep in mind that if you do pour rock, you might want to put the larger rock down first, because if you just get the small grade, it's just going to sink in the mud eventually. So you kind of want to start with a bigger rock and then lay the smaller rock on top of it. It's something to think about. Do some research on that. Yep. Anything else with that? Oh, well, I mean, you can use a generator. I mean, if you want to move to your land without electric, it is feasible with solar and a generator, but just keep in mind that's going to be running.
But if you're building anyway,
yes, go ahead and do it.
You're bringing in temporary electric anyway. So
yeah, and it didn't take much to get the temporary electric going.
No,
so they can do that pretty quick. Okay, let's see.
Item number 2.
Number 2. Oh, this is a big one.
Yep.
Yeah. So the wear and tear on your camper is a lot when you're living in it full time. So we have been in ours about 15 months, probably, non-stop. Yeah.
Now at the beginning, I was driving to work, so I wasn't here all the time. And when I came home, I was working in the Barndominium, so I was working. I wasn't in the camper very much at all. Cindy was working out of the camper, so she is constantly at the
living in
the seats, and inside, and it definitely took a toll on the seating.
Yeah, so that faux leather, pleather, plastic, whatever that stuff is, I call it pleather. It looks really bad. We're gonna have to reupholster, so we'll do a screenshot of that so you can see how it looks after living in it. But pretty much all of the seating areas, it's starting, or there's a couple that we used a lot it's like almost completely
anywhere
wiped
she
off.
was using as a work desk. Those areas turned quick.
Those turned quick, but then the rest of the stuff that we didn't use as much is turning as well. So the couch and then the dinette seating, it's starting to look really bad too. It's all going to have to be reupholstered. So, and then just general stuff. We've had some hinges break. There's one right now.
Yeah, the cylinders, which we did a video on.
Yeah,
replacing those cylinders or how to fix one. But we just had another one bust off. So they're just not built super sturdy. It's not a car, and they build them cheap and light. So keep that in mind. It's a constant. Something's constantly kind of needing a little tweaking and twerking, and if you got to buy a replacement stuff, buy good replacement stuff. That way you don't go through it later on. Always just keep upgrading things like that.
Yeah, we just want you to be prepared and know that things are definitely going to happen, and little things are going to break, and sometimes big things. I mean, we've replaced several things this year. I mean, we had to replace an electrical cord. We had to replace our macerator pump, a couple hinges. What else?
The gas cylinders. Yeah.
Yes. The bungee cord broke in the front because Tony tried to pull something out too quick. Don't get in a hurry. That's what happens. The bungee cord little storage holder.
They're stapled.
Popped off.
Really, you stapling a rope in.
The bunk overhead, the magnet doesn't work. The shower door, or the little plastic door is kind of getting torn at the top, and our awning a little piece is tearing. We need to get a piece of tape. So most of it's just little stuff that we've had to do, but just be aware that it's going to happen. It's inevitable. So
item number 3, which is a big one for me, is the comfort level of living in the camper. We do not. We have one couch, and then the seating around the table, which I can't sit at the table and watch TV. I like to recline. I've been working all day. The seats, the driver and passenger seats don't spin all the way around to where you can lean them back. It's not like a lounger. So, at night I tended to just go in the back and lay down on the bed and surf the web or read or whatever, because I wanted to relax. So there's just not that much room.
Yeah, it's the fact of being in a small space, and the items that come with the RV, the dinette, the couch, the seating, it's just very uncomfortable. It has like a 15-minute comfort rule if you set it, especially the dinette. It's very uncomfortable. Now, we did replace our mattress. The mattress is awesome. That did help the comfort level. Now, if you're going to live in your RV full time, we highly recommend, before you even start that, you need to replace that RV stock mattress, because they are terrible. So you definitely need to do that. That will help the comfort level. And then as far as the space, I mean, that's another item on our list, the space being small. So we'll touch on that in a minute.
And a comfort level for us is, available hot water all the time, because we only have a gas hot water heater, so we didn't keep it on all the time. So you're, unless you were going to take a shower, you plan ahead, you turn the gas on to get the shower warmed up. But so generally speaking, you were washing your hands
in cold water
all the time. So
that was the worst part.
So that was, that's not the best of things either.
Right. Now, a lot of RVs and campers have the dual water heater. So if we would have had electric, we would have left it on all the time. Yeah. But the gas, no, we just turned it on when we need it. You don't have to do that. That's just what we did. Just because we didn't want to pump through the propane quite as often and have to unpack everything and go get it, because ours is stationary. You have to leave
ours is built
the whole RV.
So we have to take the RV to get propane. So
so
not easy.
Yeah, so that's one thing. The next one is a big one too. Number 4, the heating and the air conditioning. So to keep comfortable, so in the summer when it's hot, the air conditioning is constantly running, right?
Yes.
So if you're out here, if you're outside, it's constantly running, you're fine. So you can pull in to have a little more shade, because we were able to pull in our garage part. But when you do that, just be aware that
the air conditioner is still going to kick on.
Yeah, and it's going to be condensing water, and it drips off your RV. And we had to find the spots where it would drip. It's always in a certain spot until you move, and then it changes. But it drips in a certain spot. It was usually like right here along the awning. And then we'd have to put buckets.
Putting buckets on it.
Yeah, to catch the water, and then we'd have to dump those. It was almost once a day in the heat of the summer. I mean, these are 5-gallon buckets too. They would fill up quite often. And then in the winter, you have the heat that's constantly running, and then the heat from the heater I think is what partially caused that fake pleather to start cracking and peeling off.
Drying it out.
Yeah, it dried it out. So
now, if you're inside, if you can pull it in your garage in the wintertime, it's not nearly as bad because you're out of the cold.
And ours is insulated. Our garage is insulated too, so it did help some.
But if you're out in the open, this unit is not made for winter at all.
Not at all.
It's cold.
There's no polar package on it. The heat just runs right out of it, basically, through every crack and thin wall. Anything else with that? Other than the noise, the noise from the air conditioner and the heater constantly running.
Because when the air conditioner comes on, you can't hear the TV.
Yeah, no, you can't hear the TV.
So you turn the TV way up, and then and kicks off, and now it's blaring.
It's blaring. Or if you're sitting there and you don't want to turn your TV up, you turn your air off, then it gets hot. So it's one or the other. So the last thing that we had is just the small space, number 5. Yeah, so we kind of touched on that earlier. I mean, as most of you probably know, you are moving. If you're used to living in a house or apartment or whatever, a bigger space, you're going to be moving into a tiny space, and it is tiny.
It's not going to hold all your appliances or your pots and pans. It's not going to hold all your forks and spoons.
Nope.
It's not going to hold all your canned goods, all your your sheets and your towels,
clothes, everything.
You have to have somewhere to put all that.
Yeah. So if you're going to be building a new home, you probably want to find some place for storage. You can ask family members if they have spare room in their basement. If you don't have a ton of stuff, you can rent storage. We built a small shed. Now keep in mind, if you do that, some stuff doesn't weather very well because it does get moist in there. We had problems with a few pieces of our furniture, so keep that in mind. And there are animals. There's mice. We had a skunk in there. Luckily, he didn't spray, but he did poop and pee.
So if you're going to put it in paid storage, you might consider
temperature controlled
storages.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind for that. And then everything, just once you start moving your stuff in, RVs look awesome when they're pretty much empty, right? But when you start moving your stuff in the space, it starts really closing in on you because you got to find room for all that stuff. So every cabinet is full, every overhead bunk, every storage area, stuff's laying around. So all of that combines in on you, and your space it shrinks up on you real quick. So just keep that in mind.
My tip on that, there's two different types of living in your camper. So that I wanted to
touch on.
If you're temporarily living in your camper while you're having your place built or while you're building your own, it's temporary. You don't have to move everything into your camper. You don't have to make it so much home where you're bringing everything into it. Sooner or later it's so full you can't even move and you can't even open
you don't want to do that.
You can't even open a cabinet drawer. It's temporary. Use it to cook, sleep, and rest a little bit. That's it. Just keep that in mind.
Yes.
You'll be in your house soon enough. And if you're going to use your camper or your RV as you live on your land, you may want your separate building to keep certain items in. But in your camper itself, keep minimalized. Don't don't choke yourself out.
Right. So, I mean, you only have mainly a 3-burner stove, right? So don't have, a 10-piece pot set with skillets and everything, because you only have 3 pieces. One skillet is all you need.
We had 1 skillet.
And like 2 medium-sized pots and maybe 1 small one, if that. And then cut down on the silverware. You can use paper plates if you want to do that. We didn't do that a lot, but that saves on washing dishes and things like that. So,
right, because we didn't have a hot water all the time.
Yeah. I will say there's definitely positive points to being in your RV. Of course, most people who already have an RV like we did and we moved into it, you're saving a ton of money because we already had the RV. We didn't have to pay a mortgage or an apartment. We were in an apartment for a short period, but we've been here for 15 or 16 months now living in the RV. So we've saved a mortgage, that whole time not having to pay that. What else? Well, your utilities are going to be smaller. more than likely, because you're in a small space and you're not paying for, you know, a big home, especially with electric and things like that. But that can vary. Anything else?
Nope.
No. All right. Well, since our RV living is coming to an end, it's kind of surreal and yet
now it's time.
Bittersweet.
Now it's time to travel in it and
Yeah.
enjoy staying in it.
Right. I will say that I am excited to be going back in a bigger space, especially for the holidays that are coming up. So that's one thing that I missed last year. I will say that, not being able to decorate as much or have the big get-togethers for the holidays. So I'm excited about that. But the RV will be here, parked right in the garage. This is Beastie. That's
Ready
her
to roll.
name. She'll be ready for next year. We'll be planning some trips with her, and she's been good to us. So we love her, and she's created a home for us this past year, and we really appreciate that. We hope that all of you guys, if you're out there, if you're planning on doing the same thing, get out there and do a lot of research. If you have any extra tips for anyone that's going to be living in their RV, if you've already been doing it, please leave those in the comments to help anyone else that may be considering this, because it seems to be kind of a popular thing right now for people to be moving into their RV on their land, especially with COVID now.
It's totally doable.
Full time. Yeah. So especially temporary.
I would have never imagined it.
Yeah.
People kept saying, "Oh, we'll give you 2 months and you'll be." It's been 15 now, and I could keep staying in. I mean, it's.
We could keep saying it, especially if you were traveling. So we haven't, we've been stuck here at the land, and we've been working a lot. Now the working keeps us busy with the pole barn, but I think if we were traveling, that might be a little more exciting.
Exciting. Yes.
Yeah, because you're seeing new places every time. But it's been good to us, and we're happy to have had the chance to live in our RV. So I personally loved it, but I am looking forward to getting into Barndominium, and we're very close to that. So stay tuned to see everything that's going to happen with that. We appreciate all you guys. We're sorry that we didn't have a video last week. We were prepping for final inspection, so hopefully we'll be moved in completely really soon here. So we want you guys to have a fantastic November holidays, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
See y'all.